Hello, the internet!
And welcome to another episode of
80-bit Podsmash,
where gaming goes to grab a beer.
Woo!
Tink, but no drink.
Tink, but no drink. The reason why we are tinking, but no drinking right now is because we've got a very special episode for you today. We are leaning into the whole gaming grabs a beer thing. We're going to do something a little bit more fun. Both Termite and I, when we were discussing this episode, described it as one big DLC. It's going to be a big game today. We don't have like a big topic prepared, and instead we're going to have some fun with some beer pairings.
Because we love beer.
We do like beer.
And we love video games.
When we do love video games, and so we decided to be pretentious snobs and pair some games and some beers and tell you, our listeners, which ones give the most synergy with one another.
Like a good cheese and a good wine
or
together?
A beer and a cookie.
Ooh.
This idea came about because I used to work at a bar, and one year we had a specific brewer. I believe it was Flying Dog.
Yes.
I was about to say Raging Dog. Flying Dog.
Raging B-word
was
is
one,
their
yes.
beer.
We had them come in and they did a beer and cookie pairing. And so I thought...
That sounds disgusting.
It wasn't great. I don't drink a beer and I'm like, ooh, I want a cookie with this. But, we decided that it would be fun to kind of make fun of that and poke fun, but also do homage to the beer culture and just be pretentious buttholes for a night and talk about beer and games. So
we do want to start with a little caveat about our parents who might have kids in the car, or like anyone who's sensitive to beer or alcohol. This entire episode is going to be talking about beer and its qualities, its tasting notes, and video games that might be mature. Mm-hmm. So just a note to you guys, we're still going to keep our content family friendly, but for those who might be a little bit more cautious about alcohol, you might want to skip this. Or,
skip this episode.
Listen to it when there's no kids around.
Yeah.
However you feel. It's up to your conscience.
Sure, yes. What does our pastor say? Your health or conscience.
Yes,
by whatever your health or conscience dictates. Yep, exactly. But it should be fun. Do you want to explain to the Pod Smashers what the format's going to look like today?
So the format is we've got 3 pairings lined up in preparation for this. Okay. We have 3 different beers. We're going to pair them with 3 different games. And we've tried to kind of match make them nice and fit well. Just like certain
style.
Cheeses go with wine. You're going to eat a little a white meat, you go with the white wine.
Yeah, but we also wanted to do
chocolate
something...
and a little dark red.
We wanted to do something a little diverse, too. So it's not just going to be 3 IPAs. We're going to mix the styles
they're all
up.
different styles.
It's not going to be 3 first-person shooters. It's going to be 3 very different games.
Oh, yes.
3 very different beers. If this goes well, we're hoping to be able to do it in the future.
Yep.
And there's one more caveat that we're going to say. When we are playing the games, we are going to do them muted because we don't really know legally what we are allowed to record. We tried to do a lot of research and came up with a bunch of big old question marks. So we're playing it safe because we don't want to get sued. We don't want them to come get we don't want Nintendo to come get our house.
Right.
So.
You just dropped a spoiler.
Oh, there is a Nintendo game.
Yeah.
I thought I picked Nintendo because they're like the Disney of video games. They're just really, really protective of their IP. Yeah. So if anyone out there is a lawyer and copyright lawyer and wants to give us the skinny as to what we can and can't do on the podcast, we would be thrilled to hear your free counsel.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of overlap with podcasting versus like live streaming and stuff. And apparently you can't listen to the game's music through the live feeds because that could be a copyright infringement.
Yeah, that's pretty universally across the board. Like, music is extremely locked down and protected, but sound effects?
We're not sure.
We're not sure. We looked it up and it looks like it's a big gray area. In fact, it looks like Twitch might be letting their users break the rules and kind of getting away with it because the publishers just don't seem to want to sue them. It's a weird thing. We might have a whole podcast episode on it.
Yeah, we'll need to when we get our facts together.
Yeah, again, the aforementioned copyright lawyer we'd like to talk to.
Come hang out with us.
Yeah, we'll have you on the podcast and you can talk about copyright law, which is thrilling. Since
we're audio only, you're not going to hear anything from the game itself.
Exactly, but we'll try to paint a picture with our words.
That's what we're here for.
So it should be fun. It should be something a little bit different than what you guys are used to from us, and hopefully we will entertain you. So we're going to start with our first pairing now.
Ooh, what do we have? Okay, so we have Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem for the Nintendo GameCube. And we are pairing it tonight with our Goose Island Bourbon County. It is a bourbon barrel imperial stout. So the reason why we decided to pair these two together is because the Goose Island comes out once a year on Black Friday, and it is a stout, which is a dark beer, and the bourbon barrel version of it gives it a much boozier taste and a higher ABV. So we decided that this beer is to be enjoyed slowly as you sip the beer. It warms up and it evolves. We decided that Eternal Darkness is a scary horror game that's dark and gritty like the beer's color and feel. And we decided that you only really play Eternal Darkness once a year around Halloween or with your friends. So we're sitting here, and Penguin is playing Eternal Darkness, and he's in a very creepy mansion. We mentioned before, we don't have the sound effects to go with this, so we'll try to paint the picture here. But he is alone. He is a female protagonist. I don't know the name. He's walking around the mansion and examining things. The environment is quiet.
I think her name's Alex.
Alice or Alex?
Alex.
All right, you're in a book library now. So let me talk about what a stout is. So most stouts tend to have complex and low in alcohol with beautiful roundness and a touch of roastiness. The dry versions are appetizing and quenching. The sweeter styles are silky and well-rounded, perfect for an evening of food and drink. So we're drinking an imperial stout, which is a variation of stout. And that means, we learned a little bit about the history here, but in the 18th century, British brewers began exporting pale ales to India to nourish its troops, and dark ales like stouts and porters to Baltic regions for more entrepreneurial reasons. The imperial stout is stronger, and with more aggressive hop prescription, these beers could survive the long, arduous sojourn without spoilage. Naturally, these beers were much different than their progenitors, and hence were considered entirely new styles. So basically, I just read that. There it is. That's what an imperial stout is.
You did read it.
Yep. And then it was aged in bourbon barrels, which gives it a really big boozy taste. Ooh, you just found a heart inside of what looks like a Beauty and the Beast's rose container, like the rose that has the petals falling is in a glass like jar thing. He just found a beating live heart. Okay, a book just flew across. It's getting freaky.
Yeah, I'm ready to give some impressions. So as I'm playing this game and drinking this stout, it's very, again, as Termite described here, I'm in a room full of books. I very much just want to hang out here. I mean, I'm in a creepy mansion and holding a sword, and discovering things, and yet at the same time, I kind of just want to sit in one of those chairs, which is very much how this stout makes me feel. I'm already actually in real life here, sitting in a chair, and as I took more sips...
A nice recliner, too.
Yeah, and as I took more sips of this beer and played more of this game, I began to feel myself just relax into this chair. It's very comforting. Even though the game is tense, I feel comfortable. But the atmosphere is very dark and twisted, so it makes me feel like something's going wrong in the same way that these flavors are twisting together in my mouth. I'm getting notes of, like, coffee... And there's some kind of fruity flavor in there as well. But I feel like it's all twisted together in just this thick, sloggish beer, which is very much how I feel when slogging through these halls as this character. I also like how the camera's fixed. It makes me feel...
And it kind of twists a little bit. And
yeah.
Like, it doesn't really move. It just kind of, like, skews your vision.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what the back taste on the beer does to your tongue. You get this front notes of, like, sweetness and malty caramel. And then on the back, you get this, like, boozy bite.
Yeah, it's sort of like how you feel in the same way that the game makes you feel the inevitability of your doom. The beer makes me feel the inevitability of getting drunk.
It's a boozy beer.
It's very boozy. I like the strong female protagonist. I feel like a good strong dark beer goes well with the strong female protagonist, but because again, strong but kind of sweet too.
Yeah, I like that.
Strong and sweet.
Yeah. Right now I'm kind of lost. I'm running through this mansion, don't really know where I'm going.
What,
there's a rat.
There's a rat.
Just crawled out of nowhere. Surprise.
When that book flew across the screen, I was very freaky. Much like surprised and like I was into it, you know.
So I just tried to open a door and the camera just twitched instead. That was interesting.
Earlier it was the controller was rumbling when I
this game is scary.
Just like rumbled randomly by itself.
If you guys haven't played Eternal Darkness, it's such an amazing GameCube game.
Right, classic GameCube game. So we're
my gosh, there's a body.
There's a body.
Hanging from the ceiling.
I want to drink.
Oh, we have to drink with this scary moment and pair it. Tink. We're going to examine the body. He's hung. His mouth. Oh, he just opened his eyes and disappeared. He just disappeared. The body's gone. A flash of light. It's
full
gone.
of surprises, just like this.
Oh, this beer
Bourbon
and this
County
game goes so well together.
Yeah, it's just the dark.
I mean, I can just imagine like sitting in a dark room by yourself, experiencing this game.
I think
with
we should turn
this
the lights
beer.
off.
We can do that, but there's a lot of logistical maneuvers we'd have to make that happen.
True.
There's 2 light switches here. There's one on a motion light. There's boxes in the way.
It's cool. We don't need to hear about your basement.
You know.
But I do think that it would have been much more enjoyable if we had
I
the
think so
foresight
too.
to
Yeah.
turn the lights
Yeah,
off. So
absolutely.
when you all are trying this pairing at home, if you can get your hands on Eternal Darkness
And get your hands on a Bourbon County.
and get your hands on it, that's why this goes so well together. They're both
hard to
really
find.
rare. So you'll have to hard to find, very rare. You'll have to go out of your way to get them. But if you do manage to recreate this pairing, don't make the mistake we did. Turn the lights off.
A musty aroma hangs in the air, and a layer of fine dust lies on all surfaces of the room. It seems as if no one has been in here for a long time. It's almost like a museum.
I don't know if you're describing the beer or if you're describing the game at this point.
If I would have aged this beer, it would have been a perfect description of the beer.
But the beer is already aged, right?
In a bourbon barrel.
All right, let me get one more shot
There's
at
a
the
ghost
wheel.
in the hallway.
One more shot at the wheel. All
right, here you go. Here you go, Penguin. He's
going to
start playing
We'll
right
wrap it up and move on to our next pairing.
There's a ghost.
looking
He
at
looks
me.
like a George Washington type colonial man. He just walked through the wall, and I think Penguin's going to try and follow him through what looks like.
Oh, I can go through that wall.
Yeah, it looks like you can go through that wall. Hit that. The wallpaper in this section of the hallway is oddly marred. That's all it says, huh?
I'm stabbing
You're
the wall.
stabbing the wall. So we're discovering and exploring. Interesting here.
This makes me think of PT. This hallway.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, there's a
how it's
glowing
fixed.
stained glass at the end of the hallway. I'm a little nervous. Oh, there's a rune.
Magic.
Yes. This beer in this game is perfect. Oh, it's glowing energy. Oh, you just got hit. You're taking damage, homie. Okay, stop that. You're going to die. He keeps trying to stab the stained glass, and he's taking damage every time.
It's cool. It's cool.
There's a wall of magic protecting
There's a
the
bit of a
glass.
sharp undertone in here somewhere, so I feel like that just brought that out.
Oh, you took some damage when you took a sip? Okay.
Mhm. Like it's chinking away at my sanity, much like this game.
This game does have a sanity meter. As you take damage, you get more and more insane, and you will
messes
have.
with you too. Like it'll pretend like it deleted your save file and stuff like that.
Yep, the walls will start bleeding. You'll hear like voices in your head. This game is way ahead of its time and absolutely incredible.
I'm dying for a remaster for the Switch or a sequel on the Switch.
Yeah, good luck with that. This game was developed by Silicon Knights. That is mostly non-existent. You just walked into a pitch dark room and the game told you it's too dark in here to do anything and made you leave.
And made you leave. Again, this game, I think, plays you more than you play it.
Absolutely.
Much like this beer drinks you more than you drink
Every time
it.
you take a sip, a little bit of you is gone.
All right, let's pause the game. Ooh, so this menu here, for the record, this menu is much like turning the pages of a book,
Oh, yeah.
which is what I want to do when drinking this beer. I want to sit down with a book
Yeah.
and read it, an old book,
Musty with dust on it.
Something. All the artwork is very.
I love
reminiscent.
the smell of old books.
Yeah, man, and the artwork is very reminiscent of something from H.P. Lovecraft. So that's what I want. I want to curl up with a scary story, drink my Bourbon County.
Wouldn't you rather just curl up with
Halloween.
this game?
I would be also fine curling up with this game.
Because I would rather just play this game.
That's my point. Is it's all very, very much the same. It's a game that gives you the sense that you're in a mansion and reading old books in a library, but like scary books, and it's messing with your head.
It's cool because this book,
Beer goes with it perfectly.
the book in the game, is actually like the stories of other characters throughout history, and the mansion we're in is kind of supposed to be the present, which is like the early aughts, and each of the stories in the book goes back to different eras of time. So there's like the World War I, like discovering. Okay, that statue just moved his head and followed you as you walked by. That's really creepy. Like a World War I, kind of like Indiana Jones style, exploring tombs in the desert, and then it'll take you back to ancient Rome, and you're like some Roman soldier in one other story. And so the game kind of just reaches out and hits different settings and comes back, and it's supposed to like weave this thread of ancestry of the main character and the family that owns the mansion that you're in. So the mansion kind of serves as a hub world. So, as I just read the description of what a stout is, we are weaving a common thread back to the 18th century British beer brewers who were shipping stouts over the ocean and needed to find ways to keep and preserve the beer. So they would do things like put them in barrels with hops and age them. Not as much as like India Pale Ales, which we'll get to, but that's how Imperial Stouts came to be.
Nice. Aren't they brewed with darker water too? Like, isn't that I remember learning at some point part of the reason why stouts, not necessarily Imperial Stouts, but stouts were so dark is because they kind of found their origins in Eastern Europe. I'll say Middle Eastern Europe, the middle of Eastern Europe, which is like Germany, and so a lot of the Rhine water that they used was darker and resulted in a darker. Because the water when you're brewing beer, water is a huge component, and the darker the water, the darker the beer will end up coming out as, I think.
I just thought it was the wheat that they used.
I think it might be a little bit of both.
Okay.
I don't know. I just remember the water was
Maybe
a huge component,
barley.
and like where they brewed it was, where the style originated. Like oftentimes the like quality of the water in the area had some effect on the end result.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because water is a huge component. That's a big part of beer. Anyways, let's wrap this up.
Just like technology is a huge proponent in this game.
What?
You're in a bathroom now. Whoa, you're falling through the floor.
Is this a glitch?
Is that a glitch?
Is
Or
that a glitch,
are
or is
you
this the game?
sinking through... Nope, you just teleported outside the door.
That was part of the game.
That's
this game
ridiculous.
Is full of surprises.
I've never seen that before, and I've played this game before.
Can I do it again?
Try it. Go open that bathroom, walk up next to that tub. Is she going to start sinking again? Wow, nope. No. You can examine it, though. Oh, jeez.
Right, yep, that's it.
Oh, man. There was a body in the tub with blood. So you walk up to the tub and it's empty, and then you press B to examine it, and when you do, there's a close-up shot of a dead girl, and it zooms in really fast.
We don't even have sound
and it scared us.
And this, 15-year-old game just freaked the crap out of us?
Yeah.
That was
Guys, this is Eternal Darkness,
well done.
Sanity's Requiem for the GameCube, exclusively only there, and a Goose Island Bourbon County Stout from 2017.
I think the best word I could use to describe both this whole pairing, if I could wrap it up in one word, it would be exquisite. Everything I'm experiencing right now is just exquisite.
Absolutely.
Including exquisite fear.
Yeah. I'm a little scared.
I am a little bit too. Let's move on to a happier, lighter pairing. All right, so for our next pairing, we have chosen to pair the style of barley wine with the game Journey, PlayStation 4.
Journey is one of the most cinematic, emotional experiences that you can possibly get on the PlayStation, or any video game, really. It is a game that has no real dialogue, that is always online. You play through as a silent character, experiencing the world through environmental storytelling. And you walk through, like, you see runes about a civilization, and you see this bright light in the distance on top of a mountain, and you go through extremely harsh conditions and solve some kind of minor puzzles to get to that light at the end. And it is your journey, and it takes about 2.5 to 3 hours to beat. The music is phenomenal. The tone is, the visual style is colorful and kind of cel shady. We'll see that in a minute. The tone of the game is heavy, yet it's not overbearing. It's kind of just like real life. It's like not easy. It's not a frivolous like skip holly jump through. That's not a thing.
It's not Mario Odyssey or anything.
Yeah, it's not like do. It's like you're going through some harsh conditions. You're facing some pretty strong fears, and you're going through. And now the always online component, other players can join you, but the only way you can communicate with them is to press a button on the controller, and it echoes a unique rune that is given to your character, and that's it. It just makes a little sound. It goes like, wow, and that's it. So it could mean like come here, it could mean go away, it could mean whatever, but the context of the game is what kind of helps you communicate with others.
So the barley wine that we've chosen for today is called Killer Penguin from Boulder Brewing Company, I believe is what it's called. promise you guys, I did not pick the wine specifically because of its name. I looked and tried my hardest to find any other barley wine I could at Total Wine and could not. So I picked Killer Penguin. I was inexorably drawn towards it. But to give you guys some backgrounds on barley wine while Termite gets his pairing on. Yeah, so barley wine is a style of strong ale. 300 years ago, they dubbed it barley wine to compete with grape wines from southern environs. They share with vino fortitude, requisite maturation, and subtle cask complexity. The term barley wine and malt wine was noted in historical documents during the 18th century when brewers tried to curry favor with wine drinkers by hinting at the strength, nutrition, and quality of their beer. The American, which tends to be more hoppy with bitter with colors ranging from amber to light brown, and the English style, which tends to be less bitter and may have little hop flavor with more variety in color ranging from red gold to opaque black. So to give you a sense of what we're experiencing here, this beer is much lighter than the last beer in color and in flavor. It's kind of got a reddish hue, maybe a reddish amber hue. But the color is very pretty. It's very, I would describe it as very deep red, which makes me think of the colors in this are very deep as well as the content in this game. But I can already tell it's very colorful, although you're in a very snowy area,
right?
Which makes me happy because I like snow and it's the middle of winter right now. But
I also have a white robe, which is, spoiler alert, it's a thing you unlock by finding all of the runes in the game. So it's like the best robe you can get. And if you see, I have a scarf hanging off my head that's got some runes on it. You see how long it is, Dan?
Yeah.
That's not how long that thing is at the beginning of the game, and it however long it is how long you can float. So I can float longer by having the longer scarf. So that's part of the game mechanics when you solve puzzles earlier in the game. This is actually very close to the end, the snowy, windy part where you're oppressed by the cold winds. It's jarring, you're alone. Your character's actually like slowing down. And the controller vibrates to kind of like nail that like strain home with you. I wouldn't say that any of that has a direct comparison to barley wine, other than it's one aspect of the complexity of this game. Is like it's the first 3/4 of the game is nothing like this at all, and so like this slow moving controller vibrating kind of oppressive thing is very different.
Is that motion control?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm moving the camera. I didn't realize that you could do that.
That's cool.
That's new to me.
The free range camera, as opposed to the last experiential game we played, being Eternal Darkness, being a fixed camera angle, this sort of free roam camera angle makes me feel like the game is a lot bigger than what I can just see on the screen. So there's a wider world, which I can compare to this barley wine, in the idea that
you got to burp a little bit.
It does, yeah. It makes me want to burp. It feels very like open. Like I take a sip of it. Not only are there very complex flavors, but I feel like I'm in a field. Like I'm in an open area, and I want to just frolic through a meadow. That's the experience I'm having from this beer right now.
You're frolicking through a meadow. Would you happen to be like thinking about your whole life and kind of reflecting on you and like your past?
If I go out to the wilds, then I'm doing so to connect with my inner soul. You know, like.
Do you feel like you're being pulled in the direction of like a single point when you're frolicking through this field as you're reflecting on your life?
I can tell you that this beer has many flavors that are all pulling into a single point of my mouth.
It's a very light-bodied beer. It's very, like, it just goes down real easy. I feel like it's not a lot of sweetness compared to other barley wines that I've had. It's got, like, some dark cherry kind of, like...
It's very much like an ale, where it's got kind of a dry aftertaste. Yeah, but, like... I like it for that reason, because it's not so overwhelming that I feel like I can take it slow, you know? Like, I feel like I can take my time just kind of figuring out what all these flavors are in my mouth.
So I just came across what looks like a stingray kind of floating eel thing, and it would look like it was kind of hurt in this little cavern, and I went over to it and I pressed my communicate button, which is O, and it emits like your rune, your aura, like your sound that's unique to your character, and it woke up that stingray, and he kind of flew around a little bit. So it's like you've given hope and restoration to him. He's like now revitalized. He's flying around. He's kind of directing where you are. And then in the background, there's like this ominous floating enemy across the moon there.
You don't fight in this game. There's no combat.
There's
though,
no
right?
combat at all. Nope. There's a giant enemy at one point that you will cower to because he's extremely scary and brutal, and he will rip your scarf, making your floating abilities limited, which makes the game a little harder.
May I have a turn of the wheel?
Tear it up, Penguin. So Journey was developed by a company called That Game Company. Yeah, it's weird. It's a little confusing. This game came out for PlayStation 3 a bunch of years ago, and it was ported to PS4, and they up-resed it and made 60 frames per second, etc. So we're playing the PS4 version here. I think it's the best way to play it. Ooh, Dan is now looking at a mountain with the glowing light, which is hinting that that's the direction... Excuse me. The ultimate direction that our character is going. Hence the name Journey. Penguin just fell off a bridge, and we're gonna...
I want to do... Whee! Wait, I go all the way down?
Yep, so this is earlier. Nope, there's no death. There's no death. There's no way you can die. So you just end up back to where we started, and you have to climb your way back up.
Can I go back the other direction?
Again, it's part of your journey. You can go wherever you want.
See whatever I want.
Ooh, you just revitalized what looks like, what do you call it? Like seaweed at the bottom of the ocean? That's kind of like...
Yeah, but it's like made
this
out
time
of
we're in the
fabric.
mountains of snow. Yeah, it's like fabric frozen upward in a hill. I hope we're painting a pretty decent picture of how you guys can see that. I hope you've played this game. If not, please go get it now. It's cheap. It's got to be less than $20. It's one of the best video games ever made. It's easily in my top 5 favorite games of all time. It's 2.5 to 3 hours long. You just knock it out in one night. And it looks like you've reached a dead end. You cannot back progress any farther.
Aww.
By back progress, I mean like go backwards in the story.
So,
you can choose. I can't even talk. You can choose levels at the beginning of the game. There's like some runes you can find that allow you to change levels quickly. But like I said, this is the end of the game here. We're trying to figure out like with these beer pairings and game pairings here, we're playing the middle of the game. We're trying to just jump in and get a feel for where it is. Like Dan hasn't played this game yet, but like I said, I played it a bunch of times. So we don't want to start a new game because you're not really going to get a feel for the intro.
So the character is wearing this kind of light-looking fabric.
Yeah.
Very airy, ethereal.
And it's very floaty.
Yeah.
Even. Yep, with sparkles and like
that
hovering.
Lightness of the character
definitely matches
really
the light
matches
body
the
of the
light
beer.
Body of the beer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would wish that we were a little bit earlier in the game because I get the feeling, I can even just tell that this is a very colorful game, but we're in an area right now that's not very colorful. So
which is actually, it's kind of cool because as you progress through the game, you like the colors and the vibrancy of the game kind of go away, and now you're left in this very desolate, cold, icy world. As like I said, we're at the end of the game. We're close to our destination. It's getting harsher and harder as you go, and this is like the final uphill climb. And so like, yeah, the colors are gone. You are reaching the point in your journey where you want to give up. This is the colorless sadness, depressing, I'm done, I'm exhausted, I'm trashed. Luckily for us, this is only our second beer, so we're nowhere near that.
But though, ironically enough, we will have to wrap this up and move on to our last pairing very soon, which does kind of feel like giving up.
Yeah.
Right before the end, especially since I fell off the bridge. Great, so why don't we... I think that's a good pairing. I think you guys should definitely...
This pairing really, really highlights the complexity, the dynamic nature of Journey and the themes that it walks you through as a player, as well as the barley wine that has multiple aspects of its flavor, its body, its color. I think barley wines are the most complex beers of all of them, as they've tried to match wines, and they try to come up with different ways to make and highlight different types of flavors that pair with different food. And so this is one barley wine that we're having. It's not my favorite one.
No, yeah.
But it's good.
It's good. It's good.
So
they're always going to be strong. You can count on that.
If you want to put a feather in this hat, it's complexity matches complexity.
Yeah, I would say definitely that's how I would wrap this up, is complexity. And yet simple, like simplicity, a combination, a good marriage of simplicity and complexity. The game itself, the experience is complex, but it's a simple way of going through it.
You're just trying to get to a single point.
You don't have to worry about like complex
combat
mechanics
systems
or weird systems. You literally just move, hover, and call, and that's all you do. It's just 3 buttons. And so I can definitely, with this specific beer, it's got notes of complexity to it. The experience is complex, but it's not something that's so overwhelming or untouchable or unreachable like wine is, quite frankly. And that's why I think a barley wine does well, is it's still a beer. It's still for beer drinkers, and yet it has these layers to it. And so I think that's a good metaphor for what this game is, and therefore they pair greatly together. Get y'all self some Killer Penguin or another barley wine of your choice.
Please get a different barley wine. Sorry, Dan. Penguin Man. Killer Penguin has a great name. It matches your persona. But the beer is not that great.
But the beer is not that great. I agree. Not my
it's
favorite.
It's not bad.
Not my favorite.
But it's not the best barley
wine.
Not
my favorite.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I appreciate the beer, though.
Moving on to our last pairing for the day.
Okay, so we decided that our third pairing tonight is going to be an IPA. Now, IPAs stand for Indian or India Pale Ale.
We're a couple beers in, guys.
We are.
And they're very strong beers.
And these have been pretty heavy hitters. So an IPA is an India Pale Ale, and it's very hoppy. They're very palate wrecker-y. Like, if you start with an IPA, every flight you get, you always end with the IPA because it will destroy your palate. They're extremely in-your-face, vibrant, bold, bitter. They just, like, take over everything in your mouth. That's what she said. And so we decided to pick that as our last pairing tonight. And I broke Penguin. He is now laughing uncontrollably because of my "that's what she said" joke.
This is going to just go downhill real fast.
We'll try to keep it together. So we have a video game pairing that both Penguin and I are going to be playing while we talk together, as it is a multiplayer game.
Because multiplayer games tend to be more popular and tend to be more aggressive and more technically discussed, which I think matches well with the IPA, because IPAs are very kind of competitive in nature. Everyone's competing to come up with the best, craziest IPA, and they're combining it with pineapple and habanero and sculpins. So we picked our favorite competitive multiplayer game that's loud and brash and in your face and makes you bitter. And in the same way that an IPA wrecks your palate, this game will wreck your friendships. We are playing Super Smash Bros. 4.
Which is Super Smash Bros. Wii U or 3DS, depending on which console you have for it. I am going to be playing as Samus, which I don't ever play. That's not one of my mains at all.
Oh, so should I feel inclined to pick similarly? I'll get some Donkey Kong action in here. Yeah.
Do you want to do just a little one-on-one?
Yeah, let's do it. That's what it's about. So, competition.
Let's change the time limit.
One-upmanship.
Let's change it. How long do we want to
take
talk
a sip
about?
of this?
Let's do a 10-minute round.
Yeah, that's fine.
And we'll just talk about the beer. So the beer we're enjoying tonight is Dogfish Head's 120-minute IPA. Now, this beer comes out once a year as well, and I'm not sure exactly when, and it's my favorite brewery of all time.
I feel like it matches Smash well because it, kind of like how Smash is just more or less the same game with just an expanded ideas each time, expanded characters, expanded items. I feel like Dogfish Head, the minute IPAs are all just expanded versions of, enhanced versions of each other, So I think that matches Smash well.
So Dogfish Head's kind of motto or mantra is off-centered ales for off-centered people. They have very unique beers across the board, and they also have a patented system for continuously hopping their beers. And now the 120-minute, can you guys guess, means that they hop it during the boil for 120 minutes straight. And it creates an extremely, extremely robust, very floral aroma, very strong hops. Some hops taste a little citrusy, some are floral. It's got a little bit of everything in it. It's a very high ABV, and it's a high-quality beer. It's extremely expensive. It's very hard to find. Smash Bros, however, is not hard to find, and sometimes not expensive. But, it is in your face. It's loud. It's bitter. Creates a lot of competition. Bitter. So, like IPAs are the best kinds of beer ever. If you don't drink IPA, you're not really a beer drinker, right? So that happens. So if you don't play Smash, you're not really a gamer,
I resent that, and the statement you just made.
I'm just being facetious here. As we're trying to be a parody of beer culture, there are some beer drinkers who believe what I just said.
Yep.
They actually kind of have that attitude, and we don't.
For the record, I though may agree with the latter statement about Smash Bros. but I do not agree with I'm actually not an IPA drinker, therefore, and I'm not actually usually a competitive multiplayer either, so Smash is an exception for me. It's a game that I can get behind, but usually I'm not really, again, I'm not your Battlefield Call of Duty fiend. I just recently got into Overwatch as a competitive multiplayer game to scratch that itch for me, but really, for a long time, I avoided competitive multiplayer games just like I avoided IPAs. In order to save face, I do have to say that I am not enjoying this IPA.
Really?
My friend Ryan, but in reality, I am actually enjoying this IPA greatly.
Thank you. This IPA is the best ever made.
Just don't tell our friend Ryan. I know he's going to listen to this and probably laugh at me.
Yep. He usually does laugh at you.
Punch in the face, just like how this beer punches me right in the back of the face, mouth.
Isn't that the whole point of playing this? Oh, I just threw you.
No.
You know what? I'm going to throw a
I'm taking a lot of damage. Boom. We both have a lot of damage.
Yeah, but I've already killed you once, and you haven't killed me yet.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm going to slam the ground like this IPA is.
I don't know how to play Samus. She's very unique as a fighter, just like this beer is very unique. I want to try and pair. I'm going meta with this. I'm saying I'm even pairing the character down to the character with the beer here. And so I don't play. Oh,
ooh,
you just. I'm gonna take
I'm
this.
A monkey.
So I'm invincible as I just died. I'm gonna drink some beer.
I'm gonna drink some beer because I just killed him in celebration.
Wow. Oh my gosh. It hits in the back of the tongue.
Fruity little back flavor there, like a light fruity.
Oh, I just shoot you in the face.
Makes me think of the fact that I'm playing a monkey right now.
Ooh.
Who eats fruit.
A giant monkey with super strength.
Who I happen to pick the most obnoxious color, which is pink.
You did. Bright, like super bright pink, not just regular pink.
We were playing with the GameCube controllers.
So we're purists, just like
exactly.
IPA being like IPA drinkers are purists in the beer world. We are purists in that we only play Smash Bros with Wavebirds.
I feel like the technical aspects of this game are really bringing out the sort of technical
prowess of Nintendo development team,
and also the technical brewing details that they put into this beer. Like, you can tell it was well crafted, just like this game is well crafted. But also, the way that we are competing on the stage is much like how the hops and the citrus are competing in my mouth.
Hops and citrus go well together, actually.
But
you would think that breweries are competing with each other to create the best IPAs.
But they're competing on my mouth right now, man.
To attract the best hipsters.
The flavors are just all dancing around on my tongue like we're dancing around each other on this.
We are kind of dancing. I wish we could record the video. I'm sorry, audience, if you could not watch this.
Soon we'll do Let's Plays or live streams.
I'm kicking Penguin's butt right now as Samus.
I don't play Donkey Kong.
I don't play Samus.
I drink IPAs.
Ooh, I drink a lot of IPAs, but they're not my favorite type. So, any beer drinkers out there can judge me for that. IPAs are not my favorite type. Sorry. I love them. They're good. But they're a little overrated.
It's time to play Donkey Kong as he was meant to be played.
Are you sure? Because I'm like 3 lives ahead of you right now. And I'm still Samus is awesome. And you're actually helping me learn how to play Samus, which has been a long time goal of mine. I'm a sword user. Like, I will use Ike, I'll use Link, I'll use Cloud. Those are my mains. But like Samus, missiles and I don't even know what else she does. Missiles and like some throws. And charge beam and some kicks. You know, I'm not really used to that. So Penguin's focusing. He's not talking.
I'm trying to play Donkey Kong as he's meant to be played.
It's not really working. I mean, he's hitting me a couple times here, but he's actually trying to throw me. But that I said try for a reason. And
no, I'm not trying to throw you.
Try and use this charge beam again. When am I going to release it? You think I'm going to do it now? You're blocking. You're dodging. You think I'm going to hit it? No, I'm going to wait. I'm just going to hang on to this charge beam. Oh! I didn't use the charge beam. Here it is. Boom. Did you die? No.
Let's see you dance, sucker. You got nothing on me.
You always sing that when we play games together. You should sing that when we drink beers together. Oh, there it is.
Who's to say I don't sing that?
I gotta pause it so I can drink some beer.
Don't pause it. Cheater. He's cheating just like IPAs. Cheat.
Somehow that relates. I don't get it. Like, if a brewery starts up and they make an IPA, apparently they're cheating. They can easily gain a mass market by coming out with this strong IPA that's really bitter.
No, the metaphor is that they...
Is that what you're saying, Dan?
No, IPAs cheat your senses.
Ooh, they kind of do. They, like, you know, that's why we save it for last. It's so good. Dogfish Head's 120-minute IPA, folks. Like, syrupy and body. It's thick. It's
very strong. I'm definitely feeling something.
It's high. Oh,
sucker!
Oh, you just killed yourself. He tried to pull that little move that Donkey Kong does where he grabs you and walks off the edge. But he killed himself now twice doing this. And I think I've only died once, and I may have killed him 5 times. Like, this is this is ridiculous now. How many times are you going to kill yourself, Dan?
As many times as it takes.
We have 3 minutes left in the clock here. So, folks, Dogfish Head 120-minute IPA, India Pale Ale. The reason why they're so hoppy is because the British brewers tried to export to India, and they wanted to preserve their beer, so they added hops to it. Turns out it's really good. So to match the flavor, they have to add more hops since it's not going across the ocean anymore, and you have a very hoppy, bitter beer. Alongside Smash Brothers, which can raise the bitterest of competition, as Dan is trying to just grab me now and throw me off the stage, reducing the fun of this game because I'm kicking his butt and he's bitter. Perfect pairing. That is our third and our last video game pairing. I hope you've enjoyed this. We will be back next week with episode 17.
Don't forget to tell us about your pairings, or if you try our pairings and what you think of them.
Yes. Add your own, discuss, just help correct us if we're wrong. Have we described a beer incorrectly? Maybe you think one of our game pairings is bad. Definitely call us out. Don't let us just walk away. Oh, you finally got a kill.
Let me know if this worked. Let us know if this idea of pairing beer with games actually worked, and if it was fun, and if you enjoyed it.
I know we did.
Should never do it again, because we just got very inebriated on the air while playing games.
Yeah, I'd say slightly. I wouldn't say very. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, not yet. I'm just picking you up and jumping off cliffs over and over again.
That's because you've given up. You can't play Donkey Kong, and Donkey Kong's not for everybody. Just like Samus isn't for everyone either. And I'm not the best with it.
Just like IPAs aren't for everyone. Wow, we are just making connections and metaphors all over the place. This is brilliant.
We are.
So yeah, tell us what you guys think, and come on our Reddit and tell us all of your beer pairings that you think we should do next. If there's a good one we like, we will totally do it. We would love to do it. Hey guys, we're back and we're sober now. And we just wanted to add a few little extra notes to the end of this episode by way of outro. Number 1, we don't actually think, in hindsight, that the Killer Penguin and Journey pairing was a good one. After we thought about it and reviewed it, we were both kind of like, probably a better barley wine.
Definitely a better barley wine is needed.
Killer Penguin could have gone well with Zelda, maybe, but not Journey so much, and not that place we were in Journey.
Yeah, it was
either.
a bad spot.
It was a bad spot, so nix that one out of your list of pairings to do whenever you get around to it. The other thing we wanted to make sure that we made a point of is to say, please drink responsibly.
Absolutely.
If you want to do your own pairings, that's great. If you want to tell us about your pairings, that's awesome. But when you're testing them, please don't drive. Be somewhere safe, somewhere you can pass out, and don't drink more than you can handle.
Yep. Luckily for us, we split 3 beers.
Yeah.
They were high ABV, though.
Mm-hmm. And the barley wine, oh, man, guys, the hangover I had the next morning was probably the worst hangover I've had in a long time. So if you are going to try to recreate this pairing, be warned. It was brutal.
It didn't really bother me that much.
Yeah, well, he's got super liver, so what can I say?
I drink a lot of water.
But yeah, so drink responsibly. Again, I'm sure you heard in our ramblings by the end of that to follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, subscribe, all that good stuff. Please, we want to hear your feedback. We want to know what you guys thought of the beer pairings, if you want to hear us do more. And if you want to give us some ideas yourself. That would be
only
awesome.
tried 3 beers, and there's like a million of them.
There's so many beers, and there's so many games. There's so many possibilities and potentials here.
We're definitely going to have to redo another one.
It'll be a
whole new set.
It'll be a great time. So, yeah, give us some feedback. And otherwise, again, for the second time in this episode, we wish you a very good night.
And New Year.
Yay!